back on the platform in this segment of our program. We continue our discussion on the life and times of Winston Gus Cooper. And we now speak about Gus Cooper as a sports administrator and someone who played a pivotal role in the sports development of the country, having served as director of sports in the Ministry of Sports for a little while. We speak now with Mr. Alpheus Finlayson. Nice to have you on the program.
I'm delighted to be here, even under the circumstances.
Yes, yes. And my first question to you is, how do you remember Gus?
Well, we live 2 corners apart. I live closer to Gus than Doyle and anybody else. I lived through Carew Street, and he lived the street Home Fabrics that Basil Sands and Sandy them lived on the other side. I had the opportunity to go out with them in '58, Boxing Day to Junkanoo. I could always remember me and Philip Clark started wrestling in the street before going to Junkanoo. But I joined actually in 1960 the St. Bernard's Club, and then in October the Pioneers came along. So the next year I came to the Pioneers. And for anybody, I mean, it was in St. George's Church schoolroom that it happened. And I went to St. George's, so it made sense for me to come from St. Bernard's to the Pioneers. But Gus was one of the founders of the Pioneers. And I understand he was one of the captains of the team, along with Doyle Burroughs, Kirk Knowles. Kirk would have been, you know Kirk,
oh, yes.
Annie Knowles. And the other one, of course, was Doyle Burroughs and Perry Gladstone Christie. Just looking back on Gus, you know, there were 4 guys who went to Morgan State from the Bahamas. One was Hugh Bullard, one was Hartley Sanders, one was Errol Bodie, and one was Gus Cooper. And they were all big-time athletes, and to have the 4 of them at school at the same time, it was something else. He had other people who were at Morgan State, like Stanley Wilson and all of them. But I can remember early that at the post office, Hartley Sanders saying to me, you know, Gus, he was talking about how good Gus was in Junkanoo now, because he was talking about the designs that they talked about before, that Gus was able to do, and he was saying Mike's. One of the boys in Mike's was, I think, an architect, and Hartley was saying that Gus was able to beat him in designing. With regards to track and field, Gus came back. You know, Gus used to run the 400 meters and the triple jump. He wasn't the greatest person in that, but he went to school and he had talents in terms of bringing people together. And when he came back as a coach, I think he was at Highbury High.
He was at Southern Senior one time.
Well, he may have been at Southern Senior.
Yes, and the first job, I think, at Southern Senior, yes.
Yes. And he just went to it. I mean, he was so well respected as a coach. I think he was one of the first to come back really as a coach, along with Errol Bodie. And because Hartley Sanders and Hugh Bullard, they just participated. They never went into coaching.
Yeah.
And Gus had the opportunity in 1968 to be the coach of the team. And
the Olympic team.
The Olympic team, and the Olympic team was a revolution in Bahamian sports, because that was the largest number of Bahamians we ever had on the team. Just think of it. Gus being the coach of Tommy Robinson. Gus being the coach of Kevin Johnson.
And Bernard Nottage.
Bernard Nottage. And the young man who is Stubbs, Norris Stubbs, Dr. Norris Stubbs now. And they did a record in 1968 that lasted for 25 years. So that is a testament to Gus. And to have somebody like Les Miller on the team,
yes.
Gus being the coach of him. But Doyle Burroughs was the manager, by the way, and they, other than Junkanoo, Doyle Burroughs was the manager in 1968. So they went hand in hand, Doyle doing the management side and Gus doing the coaching side. Gus, when you look at the 1976 Carifta Games, they did a wonder. And people always forget Gus's involvement in sports and in track and field. Because, you know, when they decided we were going to have Carifta in 76, the Bahamian public said that we didn't have the money, we didn't have the facilities, we didn't have the athletes. And on the last evening, Easter Monday in 1976, you couldn't find standing room. So that is a testament to Gus. Mind you, he got Dr. Bernard Nordich as somebody who coached as the chairman of the local organizing committee. And he got quite a number of other people involved in the Carifta Games. And right after that, Gus, B.J. Nordich became the president right a month after Gus left. And in 77, Gus went on to be the director of sports.
So Bernard Nordich succeeded him as president of B3H.
Of the B3H, yes. But one of the things Gus did, which was not done before, all presidents of the B3H, they normally serve their term up to 4 years, and then they were out. But Gus got involved in the organizing of the officials, the Bahamas Association of Certified Officials. And let me tell you this, which isn't heard. In 1977, in 76, his good friend, Errol Bodie, was the coach in Montreal. In 77, there was the Carifta trials. And you know, at the time, Grand Bahamas was really coming up. And towards the end of the meet, Errol Bodie said that y'all cheating, y'all in Nassau are cheating. And Gus Cooper had some words to tell him. Gus didn't back down from him. Although they had their friendships. And Gus was we said the kind of person who was quiet a lot of times, but he did what he had to do. I mean, I said that he is the longest serving, as I can know, director in the public service. He is the longest serving leader that we know of, that I know of in the world. He's lasted more than Castro has. You know, I mean, yes. From 58, and now it's a very long time.
Yes.
Every now and then, Gus took to cracking jokes, and he would start saying things about you, and you realize that he is joking.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
We had the opportunity of traveling with him around the world, and we remember in 1995 in Gothenburg, Sweden, when it so happens that we arranged a party at the apartment that I rented in Gothenburg, the 8th of August in 1995. And lo and behold, within 10 minutes, Troy Kemp had won the gold and Pauline Davis had won the silver medal. So we went on to have the party. And it was a wonderful affair. And it was, you know, these are some of the things I remember Gus for. I was looking for the photo of Gus with the, we were in, this would have been in Athens in World Championships in '97. And you know the name of the guy who was the first person to come in for the commission of inquiry? Not the fellow from St. Kitts.
Okay.
You know the name of the first guy?
No.
We tend to forget him.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we were all there because he was a Jewish who was involved in the legal things with the IAAF.
Was it Ellicott?
Ellicott,
yes.
Ellicott, Robert Ellicott,
right.
From out of Adelaide, I think it is,
yes.
in Australia.
Yes.
So Gus had the opportunity to meet quite a number of people worldwide, and in the Caribbean region at least, you know, people still remember him well because when they came on in '76, like I didn't say that there was no opening ceremonies for Carifta, there was no flag, there was no, what do you call it, logo for Carifta. And Gus was involved in all of that. At least he designed those two things, and we made it.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's the person who designed it. And the flag that is now gone to the Martinique for the next Carifta Games is something that Gus designed. And most people, because I tell people that jumping was every year. So the things that happen in track and field, like international, every now and then.
Yes.
So people have to remember Gus much more for jumping than they do for track and field.
You know, talking about Gus as someone telling jokes, I recall him being one of the speakers who brought tribute to, in the funeral service of Mr. Christie's brother,
Oh, yes, that's right.
Last
oh,
year.
That's right. Smokey, yes.
Smokey.
Yes.
And he was excellent in his presentation,
Yes, yes.
and told a number of jokes about the games, the Commonwealth Games, I think.
It's the CAC Games in '62.
Yes,
yeah.
in Jamaica.
In Jamaica, yes.
And so he's been around sports for almost as long as he's been around Junkanoo.
Yes, yes.
And you talked about the pioneers. He wasn't he the founder of Pioneers?
He was one of the founders.
Okay.
The founders, as we know it, as told to me, was Doyle Burris, Cook Knowles, Perry Christie, and Gus.
Mm.
And they have been together from that time. Cook would have passed about 10 to 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Cook had a son who was a great hoodler, Derek Knowles.
So not only have we lost a tremendous Bahamian in Junkanoo, but he is a legend in sports as well.
Yes, and the last year we lost, in 2011, we lost,
Tommy.
No, we lost Tommy later
Yes.
then, but I'm talking about, what's his name, 2012, talking about Paul Adley.
Yes.
Paul Adley was the president of the B3As in one of the earlier years.
Absolutely.
And so we've lost now two presidents. We've lost the only presidents that we have lost, the first president, that's A.F. Adley,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm forgetting his name now. I don't know why I'm forgetting
You're not
his
supposed
name,
to forget because
not
you...
supposed to forget, but he is from Hawkins Hill.
Yes.
Cyril Richardson.
Yes.
And then Levi Gibson. And then Paul and Gus. So
You are the Bahamian encyclopedia on sports. You're not supposed to forget, and I'm so happy that you were able to get that information.
Well, let me say this. When you look at what has happened in our organization, the B3As, and when I call the names of the presidents, we need to go forward and remember what they did, what they stood for, and everything. And as we go forward, we know the events that are happening this year in the Bahamas and worldwide. And thinking about Gus, thinking about Paul Adley, thinking about the rest of them, A.F. Adley, Cyril Richardson, and Levi Gibson, we just have to go forward, especially the people who remain now.
Finlayson, thank you so very much for being here today. And I'm sure you would have a lot to write about Winston Gus Cooper in the ensuing days because you are the historian. As I said, people look to you for the information, and I'm so delighted that you were able to share on this program this evening.
I am delighted to be here. You remember I mentioned that Gus and I were here.
Yes.
Within the last 2 years.
Absolutely.
On one of your shows.
Absolutely.
And people called and people said that you have to bring the band back.
Yes, yes. And we are going to run that program again, especially so that people who do not know him in the way they ought to know him in sports development will get to understand the life and times of the man, Winston Gus Cooper. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much.
Good. Thank you very much for joining us this evening as we spoke to members of the Valley Boys on the life and times of Gus Cooper, and of course, Mr. Alpheus Finlayson. I'm Wendell Jones. Thank you for watching, and good evening, everyone.